to work. We must move away from that. Sorry, Mr Chair.
I'm going to call Meka Whaitiri.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Just picking up on my early contribution, I want to draw the House's attention to clauses 11 and 12 and highlight that in this clause, sir, it requires the councils to provide for development capacity. There were obviously several submitters, sir, that raised some issues around trying to express exactly what we meant by development capacity. Did it mean up and wide in terms of, just to explain this particular clause, this is to enable councils to have a long-term, take on housing needs. And in this particular, these two clauses, sir, submitters were concerned around being clear what they actually meant, and there are some questions I do want to put to the Minister, but the clarity or the concerns that submitters raised in these particular clauses, sir, was around defining whether it's intended to build up or out, whether we include business and commercial property, or is it just purely residential. And also the point they made, sir, around how would you measure sufficient long-term and expected demand. And so my question to the Minister and the Chair is, what does he mean by development capacity, and how the heck does he measure the sufficient long-term and expected demand that was raised by the submitters? The other part in this clause, sir, was the reverse sensitivities, again raised by Agriculture New Zealand, Stevenson Group, Fulton Hogan and Frontiera, seeking protection on their significant infrastructure such as electricity transmission, water infrastructure and transit infrastructure. So again to the Minister, can he guarantee that existing development capacity, for example electricity transmissions, will be protected in his amendment? Sir, there's another part in the bill that I want to ask the Minister questions, and that is clauses 131, part 1 and 2. In this part, and no other speakers actually raised this point, sir, but it relates to the no appeals to the Environment Court for certain activities. And I just want to bring the attention to the House that the proposed insertions here, which is the section 128A of the Act, the Environment Court appeals in respects of decisions on subdivisions, residential activities on a single allotment in a residential zone, and boundary infringements will be precluded unless the activities to which the decisions relate have non-complying status. Sir, the concern obviously for me there is how are we ensuring that the public can actually take their concerns through the Environmental Court when we have this particular clause in the bill, and maybe the Minister can allay our fears that this particular clause makes it really clear that in this case it wouldn't be permitted. So again, the clause introduces new limitations on the scope of appeals, such as a submitter will be restricted to only appealing those matters that were raised in their submission. Furthermore, sir, there will be no right of appeal for submitters in the event that their submission is struck out under clause 120, the new section 41D2, sir. So I believe that these particular clauses deserve a response from the Minister to ensure that the public can raise appeals in the Environmental Court for certain activities. But, sir, my major question is, and I did want to take a point of order when Marama Fox was speaking, sir, when she was reading out her SOP, and that's my third important point that I want to raise in my contribution tonight, sir, and that she read from a piece of paper in relation to her particular SOP, sir. And she mentioned in her paper that she said that her SOP covered, I believe, grasses and forestry. And I wanted to ask, sir, with all due respect, I've gone away, I've looked at the SOP, which the members in this House have. There's absolutely no mention on that SOP, sir, of grass or includes grass or forestry, but it does talk about the Has No Act, sir. So I've gone away and got a copy of the Has No Act in case the definition, Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair.
No, I'm going to hear from Eugenia Sage.
Thank you. I'm really disappointed that government members are moving closure motions, given